Hey guys, okay, compared to most of my videos, this is gonna be kind of bitchy, so I apologize, but I hope you'll listen anyway. I've been getting a lot of comments and emails, from people wanting to breed their crested geckos, and hey, that's awesome. And, being that excited about a species, you want to breed them, that's cool. But I think a lot of people don't think the whole breeding thing through entirely before they act on that, and that is where we get into trouble. Um, okay, first, let me get this out of the way. I have a whole website dedicated to the care of the crested gecko, and it goes into detail about how to breed them. And the website is linked in the video info and listed at the end of every video, and people still ask me basic questions that are already answered on the website. Sometimes they ask me questions that are already answered in the freaking video they just commented on. This is getting pretty frustrating, and I hope you can understand why. You're wasting my time if you can't bother to take 5 minutes and read a page I've already written. And I'll straight up tell you now, if you're not willing to do a little research on your own, you really don't have business breeding anything. This is really common sense stuff. Um, Second, you can't just buy two geckos, mash them together, and get babies and run right out and sell them right away. People see dollar signs, and it doesn't work that way. It takes a lot of planning, and you may have a lot of initial cost. You need at least two healthy geckos. A breeding female I recommend, should be about 35 grams in weight, because if you breed her when she's too small, you can wreck her body. You should follow basic quarantine procedures and keep the male and female separated. If you just bought them, keep them separated for a few months to make sure they're healthy. You need proper housing, proper food, a scale to weigh the geckos and the offspring, lay boxes for eggs and substrate, incubators, control over the heat or air conditioning. If you're a kid living in mom and dad's house, sometimes they don't want you dinking around with the air conditioning. So summertime could get kind of hard. A really big one: emergency funds if a vet visit is necessary, because reptile vets, they're not the same as cat and dog vets. Like, you can try taking your crested gecko to your regular dog vet, but your vet might not have ever seen a crested gecko. You want to look up special exotic animal veterinarians, and sometimes they're a little bit more costly. Then you need housing for the hatchlings you get. These geckos kick out about 2 eggs per month per female, and if you're conscientious and you allow your female to rest for 4 months a year, that's about 16 potential hatchlings a year. And you shouldn't sell a gecko right after it hatches. You should hold on to it for, I recommend, at least a few months to make sure it's eating all right and growing. So yeah, housing for about 16, possibly more, baby geckos a year. Keeping in mind that if you keep them together, you want to save room, you want to save money by housing them all in one tank. They like to bite each other's tails. Then you need to sell the geckos. And guys, this economy right now is really crappy. People aren't buying things they don't need like they used to. A gecko is something, quite honestly, and this hurts me to say, something nobody needs. Pet sales are down. People are having a really hard time moving even some really nice looking crested geckos for really, really good prices. So yeah, if you're looking to get in for the money, probably not a good time to be doing that. Oh, another thing. I get a lot of people under the age of 16. I mean, I know that's part of YouTube. It attracts younger viewers, but I get a lot of people under 16 really excited about breeding. And you have to understand that a lot of people won't buy directly from younger kids because they feel less protected by the law if something goes wrong. And selling to pet stores, a lot of big chain stores like Petco and PetSmart, stuff like that, often won't buy from you because they've already got a contract to buy from a set source. So they're not going to want yours. They don't know who you are. Your stock could have diseases or something for all they know. They've already got some trustworthy people they're buying from. Breeding geckos sounds like a really fun way to make some money. But what happens when you get stuck with a handful of animals that nobody wants to buy from you, and suddenly you want to go off to college? Who's going to care for all those geckos? Can you rely on mom and dad at home? Because a lot of colleges won't let you take a bunch of geckos into your dorm room, and there are some people who are very afraid of reptiles, so you might get stuck with, your freshman year, you might get stuck with someone who's afraid of reptiles. They don't want that in their room. You need to plan for the long haul because these guys, they think they can live 15 years, maybe longer. Okay, and this part is important. Don't do research on YouTube alone. Oh my God. I can't emphasize that enough. It can be an okay starting point. Like, I don't mind that you're coming here to watch my videos. That's great. But YouTube is filled with people that think it's cool to see how high a cat can jump after being zapped with a cattle prod. This is, you know, no, just not a good source of information in a lot of ways. Um, it's a good starting point. You might find some cool, but a lot of the time you might end up um, landing on a channel of someone who doesn't exactly have the animal's best interests at heart. So, yeah, I don't like to be this downer. I don't like to be a person who says, no, you should not be breeding geckos and you should not be breeding geckos, because this is all your decision. This is up to you. But I've got to encourage you to take some time and actually get to know the species. Keep it for a year without breeding. Don't get into this if what you're after is just money, because it probably won't work out for you well. Figure out what will happen in a worst case scenario before thinking about jumping into breeding, so you don't screw yourself over and so you don't screw your animals over.